Hello, everybody. Today I wanted to talk about intimidation versus tolerance. And this idea just came to me because I noticed that some people get spooked or are easily intimidated, right? Like if you see two people talking or two people interacting, you can kind of start to see who's the more dominant one. And I think this is associated with type A, type B personality. But at the same time, I feel like those people, you know, like they basically command the conversation, right? They dominate, but the other person that's listening in should not let that be. I believe many people aren't even aware that that they have that strong personality or that strong character. And I believe the other person, should just continue being themselves, should just continue talking normal, right? But many people get spooked, and when they see people start to get a little bit more passionate about what they're saying, normally the other person will just kind of like nod and be like, yeah, 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 I agree, I agree, I agree. And they become like this yes man or this yes woman, right? The yes person. Because I believe there are people that maybe, it depends. If they're talking about something that's really passionate to them, they'll get passionate, they'll get excited, they'll start like, talking about it more intensely. Or it could be that there are just people like that, right? There are just people that are naturally more intense when they speak. But I don't think the way someone is speaking should alter the way you speak, right? Like if someone comes at me and they have this like strong, because I've had people with strong characters, with strong personalities come at me, right? And I don't mean in a fight type of way or in an attacking type of way. Like they just talk like that, right? Like they're loud, or they'll, and for me it is kind of like annoying. And I may tell the person like, whoa, like you're kind of intense or whatever, or I may just not, like ideally I should, especially if it's bothering me, or just make like a funny comment about it, so they know, so they are aware. But it's not going to alter the way that I'm speaking, right? Like if they ask me about, what do you think, or what's your opinion, or give me your insight or your input, or it's my turn to speak, I'm going to speak normal. I'm going to speak normally like I always do, right? But I've noticed that some people will tend to kind of quiver, will tend to kind of shy away, and if they were gonna say something like maybe a little bit, not aggressive, but maybe more assertive, they'll actually shy away from that, and they'll enter like a very passive role. Right now, these people are tolerant, obviously, and I think tolerance is also very key when you're speaking. Now, imagine this: two people that have dominating, intimidating personalities speaking, right? Like they're just going back and forth, and I think that's one of the most productive conversations you can actually have, like, because I guess nowadays, for some reason, being aware and being attentive and actually paying attention and listening and inputting and giving that feedback and having that reciprocity of going back and forth, and a dialogue between two people. It's not a monologue, it's a dialogue. It's between two people. I believe those are the most productive, right? But you need people with strong personalities, or at least that they are passionate enough to be able to confront each other and discuss and argue and construct conversation based off that, right? But when you have two people that are equally passive, and they're both kind of like being tolerant of each other, and the other person just says like any single thing, and they're kind of like, yeah, I believe this, and the other person's just like, yes, I agree, and they're just kind of passive like that. That doesn't get you anywhere. That's not constructive. That, I believe that's destructive. But of course, there are different perceptions on this, because you could say, well, they're fostering a relationship, an emotional relationship, right? Or how can romantic relationships grow? If you're just going to be arguing hard facts all the time, or hard ideas, like you need that, I guess, passivity, and to just kind of like be tolerant when communicating, right? So yeah, it's basically like intimidation versus tolerance, because we do have this other side where you could be like very assertive or even aggressive in your communication, but then you have to step back and let the other person speak and really listen. And for that, you need to be passive. You need to enter this role where you're, really taking in what they're saying, and maybe even to the point of understanding. Maybe if you don't agree, maybe you won't even say it. You'll become in some way a yes person, because you're trying to express tolerance, right? Because you're trying to be tolerant, which I think that's okay. In some case, I mean, like, let's say for instance, there's a really emotional person or something very emotional just happened, and a person's really angry, right? Either at you or at someone else, and they're venting off, they're talking about this. You can't hit them with hard facts, right? Or you can't be like assertive or aggressive in those cases. You have to be completely passive and just let that person vent or blow some steam or whatever they have to do, right? So looking at this dichotomy, right? I like to look at dichotomies because I think you get a lot from looking at things like, in opposite terms. So intimidation versus tolerance. We would be talking about something that is kind of like a phenomenon, and I thought it was really interesting, because in society we have a lot of people that are like, yeah, man, like, work drives me crazy. Work stresses me out. And what about work stresses you out? The people stress me out. This fucker, this bitch, whatever. Like someone is always stressing the person that we're talking to out, right? Like something's happening, someone's doing something to them. And I looked at it like from two ways, right? We have, again, type A, type B personalities. We have people that are active and we have people that are passive. So check this out. This is my theory. Passive people get stressed out, right? If you're a passive person that's working and you say, I get stressed out, it's not the same than if a person that is active gets stressed out, right? The passive person gets stressed out from active people, right? Because active people are going to push them, are going to complain to them, and they're going to feel like worthless, right? Like they're not doing the things correctly, like they're not getting the job done. They're gonna feel that pressure, they're gonna get stressed out because they're gonna be like, why are you so irritated? Why are you yelling at me, right? Because they're passive. And the active people are, going to complain. Now, if you're an active person, you're gonna get stressed out because the passive person doesn't do their job. So you're complaining, like, check this out. If you're a passive person, you're going to be like, yeah, man, they're always bitching at me. They're always complaining. They're always like telling me I'm doing things wrong or stuff like that, right? And the active person is going to be like, yeah, man, these people stress me out because I have to always be telling them to do their job. They don't get shit done. I'm doing all the work, right? So, but both type of people will talk about how they get stressed out at work. Now, just a thought experiment. What if we just categorized, all the active people together, like active with active? Would that be a better world? I think it would. I think there wouldn't be a lot of stress because, the active with active would know they would get the job done, right? Now, we would take away this like emotional element that passive people kind of put in. But again, what if passive and passive people were together? Right? Then they wouldn't get anything done ever. Or I don't know, maybe, give them a specific role or a specific set of responsibilities and jobs to do that are according to passive people. So I don't know. What do you think of this? Are you passive? Are you active? Do you get stressed out at work? Let me know in the comments. And I guess that's all for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.